Here we go, everyone. So I've begun recording. For anyone that may be new, I unmute all of you, and at any time, if you wish to divinely interrupt while I'm speaking, um, to ask a question, please do so if something is not clear. And also, if you wish to add something that you feel is pertinent as well. And I'll give a brief update of the current where we're currently at with the Ascension, and then what I'll do is we'll open it up for questions and that can be answered. And also, Femke is joining us here tonight, and I'm laying down on the job on my back on the bed if my voice sounds a little bit different. Nevertheless, so I'll begin. So the Ascension update. Now, what has occurred importantly? Uh, I will just brief on a few posts I put out on Facebook and also on Telegram the last few days because they are pertinent, directly pertinent to the energy and the ascension right at this specific time. So, with this, currently, we are having what is called a coronal hole that is facing Gaia, facing the Earth. And with this overall ascension, all of the energetics come from the sun, if you will. So, having said this, the purpose and the role that a coronal hole plays is that it puts to Earth a huge, uh, dense energy that is charged negatively, if you will, for the specific purpose to to pressure compress ones that are, let's say, not fully gone full fledged into their experiences yet. As an example, what it does, if they're still negative and in an appreciable amount of fear, then what occurs, this density comes in and negatively charges anything that's negative within one. And when this occurs, it sends out in the individuals many multiples of negative like things that they are putting out, that they are acting, if you will, with their actions and the reactions that are negative, that are fear based, and also with their emotions. So, by being compounded, if you will, many multiple times that is above what they would consider normal and even above astronomical odds, very quickly they begin to realize that there is something more happening in the least. And they do begin to do the right things, if you will, and their consciousness then begins to expand even further to know what those right things are to do uh, without getting too much into detail with the dynamics and the mechanics of what actually occurs with this, with the ascension process. So, nevertheless, it purpose for those that are ascending the different levels of what you could call their journey, their development. Now, for the ones that know what this is, what I'm speaking about, and are given a heads up, if you will, of an incoming density in the outside of the reality, then for these ones that are divinely nicely forewarned, you do little and you keep in your energetic bubble, if you will. You move slow because one of the reasons you move slow in your reality is because your vibration is set at a certain higher frequency. And if you're to go more out in a negative charged reality at that time, it will begin to deplete your energetic field more and more. And if you rush into it, go into it quickly, it can begin to lower your vibration very quickly. And also, when your vibration lowers, so does your conscious ability to discern and to actually apply a lot of your quick high vibration techniques to raise your vibration back up. Because typically in the past, what occurs is what we call the veil of forgetfulness, which when your vibration goes lower, so does the veil over your consciousness, and you'll tend to forget even the simplest tools to raise your vibration. So, to keep it simple, so it's important to use your utmost discernment when you know what the overall energetics are on Earth and in your reality at any given time. So, again, just to keep this simple, that is incoming. It will be a duration of at least 2 or 3 days longer from now. It began approximately, I believe, 2 days ago. Now, when you see a coronal hole on the sun, the moment that you see that it's reported in space weather or whatever other areas you may get your information about, as soon as you see that is happening. And for example, on space weather, they will say, I think maybe in a few days, that the energy will might graze Earth, if you will, but that's not the case. These things are instant divine indications of what's occurring. So it's important to also understand that. Um, so that's what is ongoing currently. So what's happening is I like to use just two timelines to keep it simple: the higher timeline and the lower timeline. And the lower timeline has to implode, has to dissolve, because there is not the direct orientation with the ascending timeline, and to take reality and Earth, if you will, Gaia, into the fifth dimensional state. So, having said this, what is playing out on the lower timeline, and when you mention like militaries, aggression, and all of these are things of the lower timeline, which are not in alignment with divinity. And having said this, they circle and they implode. This is why you'll see many aggressive uh, groups that speak about militaries and things, that nothing comes to fruition because it cannot. God is not fear, and aggression is fear, to keep it simple without going deep into that. So you'll see ones that, with the consciousness, that were caught up in this, that they had kept looping, if you will. But this is not about those. They do come out of this. This is about the vanguard and taking things forward and creating the new reality. So we complete this mission, if you will, as soon as possible. This divine mission. I will add to that. So, having said this, it's been put out and begun to be spoken about in the higher ascension community of the current ongoing um, sacral area, how will I call it, release and reconciliation and a transmuting of that area, and contained, if you will, in what is identified or known as your sacral area, your sacral or sacral chakra, which is typically in your tummy, just around the belly button area, if you will, and up to your lower chest cavity. So in that area, energetically, it's known to contain the beliefs. And in reality, and with your time upon the planet, most all beliefs that anyone had included fear in it. And also, with these beliefs, it's what kept you in the lower dimensions. Any belief that has a fear in it, it is like an anchor, it's like a weight that will keep you in the lower dimensions, and it'll prevent the consciousness from evolving. So, this is why basically with the ascension overall, each one is told to do their inner work at eliminating the distinctual fears, but also at eliminating their fear actions and their fear emotions, and replacing that with the full trust, at least, that they're a divine being, that they're connected to God, prime creator, mother, and father, and that this is not just an experience here. It is an actual miraculous mission as well, to advance not only yourself, but to advance the entire reality of Earth forward into a civilized place, in the least, a fifth, a fifth dimensional representation, which includes all of the good things, a selfless, uh, energetic environment, everyone sharing, everyone in abundance, everyone free, all of the good things. So, no sadness, all happiness. And this is the energetic new reality that we're creating. But also, to be able to create that, one's need to be purified of these old negative ways and fearful beliefs. And so much of the programming, indoctrination, and imprint of negative fear based thoughts and beliefs, all connected with the lower timeline Babylon evil system. These have become, over time in the past, ingrained within one's beliefs, and they even become to the point habitual that ones would be acting out of these old ways, unbeknownst to them, in supporting these lesser energetic ideas and concepts. So there is the purification uh, and the limitation. It's a purification of the limitation of the belief systems contained in the sacral. Quickly, having said this right at this time, we are also forever creating new higher timelines and higher timeline tributaries, which are little branches that stem off of it. And whenever we are creating a higher timeline for the most advanced that are connected at least to mother and father creator, when we are birthing a new timeline, it is common for ones, for feminine, to experience maternal childbirthing symptoms. And also with the masculine, they can as well, if they are connected strongly to the mother and the unconditional love involved in the mother. So, energetically, being compatible with that and with the inner standing on that deep level, it is also happens to the masculine that they will tend to bloat, if you will, even lactate. So some of these things are possible, but it's a indication because it's a reflection of the energetic timelines and of Mother Earth, if you will. Um, so I didn't write anything down as most times, and I'm just looking at what's currently happening. Oh, very significantly, many are also right at this time being upgraded with your crystalline capacity of your physical vessel. And mainly what this offers, what occurs with this is you can and will have crystals coming out of your skin. Now, there'll be different varieties of it depending upon where you're at in your crystalline development, but also what is being upgraded to crystalline with your physical vessel. Um, for the most part, your crystalline process begins with the plasma of your blood. So it begins in the core. And as we transcend and ascend higher and higher, then more of your physical vessel is upgraded from a carbon based base, which is able to sustain your physical vessel in higher frequency, higher vibration, and in multiple dimensions. So, this is part of what it's happening as well. And with the overall divine mission, if you will, we are taking humanity and Gaia, the earth, out of the fourth dimension into the fifth dimension, where evil and dark things do not exist. So, having said this, for the body to be able to vibrate high enough that doesn't allow for evil to exist, this is administered through the physical crystalline body process where you're upgraded in the least. Now, understand also, you will see what you could say many ascending at this time with their physical vessel. You will see many what humans think are dying, but they're really ascending. It's just for divine reasons they were unable to progress their physical vessel forward, and also at the soul level, they were not meant to be. Everything is divinely planned out exactly. So, from the highest divine perspective, there is no wrong being done, if you will. It's the part of the process for ones to be able to very quickly take their physical vessels into the higher dimension and into the higher ways, the heaven on earth ways. And I say quick, even though it has taken at least so far over a decade. This is nothing in the blink of an eye of a soul's existence that exists for all time because there is no death. So with this, it at times may be hard for ones to comprehend as you're raising above the limited capacity of the old human logic and embracing the miraculous divine world and confirmations that come with that. The twin flames typically have a good jump start on knowing more of the truth, with one of the examples where in their love intimacy that they will, if they're 50 years old, they will, their face and also their bodies will change to reflect to some degree a youthful appearance. So this tells you that in the blink of an eye, if you will, that you are indeed the fountain of youth. And but again, for us and who's on here, not all of the human souls will be ascending to the level of knowing all of the truth yet, but they will ascend to the level at least to sustained a fifth dimensional state of being in reality. And of course, that will evolve very quickly. As for many of us, because of our multi-dimensional capacity in our divinity, our experiences will be you'll have most, if not all, of your free will back and your multi-dimensional capacity and abilities once we get the mission done. For example, you transcend all time and space. So let's say if you've got children in the fifth dimension, you could leave for 2 years on your time, but you would be back right with them in a minute of their time because time does not exist for us as well. So it's important to know that all of this magic is there as well. Um, Sometimes I tend to ramble and get into different areas. Let me just review to go back and consciously with this energetic update. Uh, so, what's important to know is yes, the lower timelines are imploding this period right now without saying what. There are significant things occurring that are pressuring many right now on this on the lower timeline. It's also important for ones not to have in your consciousness so much of that, and ideally none of it, because you're a conscious co-creator. And what you'll tend to look at or have in your mind, you will begin to create simulations of that and likenesses. So, for example, even if you're neutral looking at war or even thinking about it, you are actually energizing it and will create it to some extent. So, you need to be very meticulous with your co creator prowess. And also, it's important what has occurred, Femke and I, in a discussion the other day. It's important uh, to, for all sakes and purposes, what I'm going to say, to not say that you don't want something. And we'll go to the basics with this because creation in the universe does not recognize a negative into the higher and the higher vibrational realm. So it will exclude the negatives out of your wants that you have, and it will give you what you don't want. So it's important to know that, let's say, I'll give you an example. If on a day you say, I don't want it to rain, well, you don't say that. You say, I love the sunshine. So you don't say the don't, if you will, in it. And then with your creations, you'll be more apt to get what you enjoy and what's more comfortable with you. But it's still regulated and limited to the extent that you're enjoying an energetic environment here with many other co-creators. And if, for example, you may have a co-creator close to you that wants it to rain and you don't want it to rain. And because of that conflict, then it causes a confusion also, and both may not get what they want that day. So, this is also why we say it's important for all that are ascending to be aligned with your most highest beliefs and integrating into your thoughts the highest values and the highest things, what you know you are here to create. Now, we also don't wish to overcomplicate things, so it is great to be meticulous, but with what you're thinking and what you're speaking. But also, there's such a thing as overdoing it if it begins to create stress for you, because you do not wish to create stress. It's a fear energy again. So it's with each one's discernment and of how much you wish to be meticulous with your choice of words and thoughts. So things are going to happen rapidly. What I will say, the last update about a month ago that I got from Father Prime Creator that I'm connected to is that, and more recently, maybe in a week ago, I received that November 15th of linear year 2024, a few months away, it's very possible that we will have Gaia and the planetary ascension achieved to the point that the heaven on earth scenario, the GPMS dot world, which is it, may be implemented at that time. So, Father has given a distinct high possibility of that. And this is very great news because what it also indicates, it indicates that the ascension, uh, the hardest part of the ascension at ascending Gaia and the planet and all of the other souls should be completed by then. So that is a distinct possibility that the main mission will be completed by then. And what is involved in this main mission until it's completed is these, let's say, hardships that you have and discomforts with your physical vessel. So that is very possible to end for many around November. But regardless, if we go into the new world in November, each one of you is constantly upgraded, and your discomforts should be lessening somewhat over time. But nevertheless, know that your discomforts are short lived, and always apply that they're ascension symptoms because this alleviates any negative effects and it uplifts you much quicker in vibration. So, with that, I'll stop. I said a lot. Do we have any questions? Just going outside to have an organic cigarette. Any questions at this time? The floor is open. Thank you. Yeah. Well, it's pretty quiet tonight, Jit. Let me have a look. I know there's always something I could say and can say. Um, what I will say is that, there are many that are doing what we call activations, energetic activations on Gaia, on Earth. And let me say, these are very real and they do create good results and good change, even though ones may not see it in their now moment. It's having the overall effect on reality, and it's a very important contribution to affect the all. So, what I wish to say, everyone's efforts, nothing is too small because it adds to the whole. And even with a smidgen of what one may do sometimes, it may be enough to activate another higher timeline, the next level of this ascension. So it's important not to diminish anything and also not to diminish anyone that is on their journey or that is, let's say, a spiritual teacher that you know is genuine, that may not be Um, it needs to be understood that with these spiritual ascension teachers, that there may be things you don't resonate with, but you need to understand it's not for you, that it does pertain to a certain audience and to a certain level of consciousness, because we have so many levels of consciousness now with this ascension. And with each level of consciousness comes new truths. And also, let's say, what is taught in grade primary of the ascension, uh, you could get to grade 3, if you will, and it will totally, truth will totally contradict itself and be new. So it's so important that you keep just fully open minded the entire way, and not to draw a foul judgment on what any is doing unless you know that it is definitely dark. And then it becomes that divine moral responsibility and obligation, if you are subjugated to it, to tell the truth about it. But if you're not asked by another, then you don't go out and say about it. You don't waste the time on it. Now, know there are still remnants of the darkness, if you will, that are still here, but they play important divine roles at once, learning very quickly on what to choose and how to sharpen their divine wits. Overall, any minions and remnants of darkness, uh, they will always attempt to intimidate, to distract, to manipulate, and to stall one's progress. Now, the divine uh, answer to that, so that you don't succumb to any of that, is that you just know that they're trying to distract, so you don't pay any attention to it. And if you're on Facebook or what have you, you just block these ones unless you are a teacher and able to use them as a presentation and a tool to show others that there are actual minions and trolls. But also use your wisdom and your discernment not to be taken away from your ascension focus at contending with any, let's say, negative or dark threads, unless you're distinctly divinely guided to do it. And this will assist you, and it will assist all as well. Any questions there? The floor is open for any questions. Go ahead.
Rick, it's Terry. Once again, my question is about the 13th and the 14th. Um, I understand basically what you said, but could you sort of go a bit more further than that, please?
Hi, brother Terry. Could you just repeat just what you said? You were a little bit low. If you can, please. Thank you.
My question is regarding the 13th and 14th. You've given me a little bit of advice, but could you take it a little bit further for me, please?
Yeah, where are we now? We on the Today is the 10th, I think. What I wish to say is, I think with my information that I'm getting now, I think on the 13th and the 14th, let's say the 14th, we should be out of this density that most, if not all of you, are feeling in the outside reality, and where you are encouraged and advised just to, if you will, stay in the house or keep your energy close. So by the 13th or 14th, I believe it'll be, the vibration will be raised in your outside reality enough that you will not be affected by it so much. So again, what's occurring is the reality will be negatively charged for the next 2 to 3 days that will take us 12th and the 13th. And this is for divine purposes. It's what Femke, when he watches what she alluded to in her post the other day, benevolent negativity that has to occur. So this should be mostly completed by the 13th, I would say, um, with what you're asking. So I anticipate that the vibration for all of us that are in stasis will be more suitable, that we can go out without our energetic fields being diminished so much. Femke and I was out today, um, but also it needs to be understood the strength in numbers. So for Fem and I, we were out with another divine soul that's beginning to come along, and a few of her children, which are angels, unbeknownst mostly to them yet. But the energetic field that creates, because we're all within 3 feet of one another in a vehicle, we went to a location. Having said this, that energetic field is so strong that nothing negative can be felt so much as well. The only thing would be the subliminal draining of energy when we got back, that you would want to rest a little bit, if you will. But if you're singular, it's best to stay in your energetic bubble. But if you're with like minded ones, you'll find that you can venture, out to where you need to go in this energetic environment. Now, also, there is the unique, um, rare occasion where one will float right through it. So this is what I give as a general rule of thumb, but to my knowledge, there is also varying exceptions to the rule. So what is given is guidelines for ones, uh, with what I put out. So each one use your own discernment, and if you're feeling or if you're guided to do something major, if you're guided, if it's not just coming, if you know it's not just coming from your consciousness from you to do it, if you're divinely told to do something, then by all means you follow your divine guidance. But if it's just a feeling or a thought, then I suggest to use your utmost discernment and perhaps to get a second opinion on it. Does that make sense, Tony? Did that answer it yet?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks very much, Rick.
Yeah, you're welcome, brother. Thank you. Any other questions?
Hi, Rick.
Hey, Nessa, go ahead.
It's just as you were speaking there, it reminded me of a conversation we had where you asked me to remind you about expanding upon the eye contact when activating ones on the road.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nessa. With this, for any with your light bodies activated, and when I say your light bodies activated, at least you have your heart in your root is activated, that you can feel the energetics there. And when I say if one has their light body activated, that you at least can feel those energies. Now, if you're out and about, and if you're divinely inclined or instructed to activate another, and most of the time it will be the blue eyed ones that you come into contact. They're easier to activate. for several reasons without getting into it. But what also occurs at times where you already have your light body activated divinely, and if instructed and if agreed on by the two soul level from a higher place, then you can also activate another. And how you do this is if if you feel strongly to do it and divinely guided. Let's say you might be in a grocery store and you come to the cash registered and there's a blue-eyed one there that you feel strongly that they need to be activated. One of the ways to do this is just look them in the eye and you will feel it and get your instruction. And to activate ones, one of the simplest ways is to quickly, with your consciousness, take your heart energy down into your root energy, connect it, fire it up, bring it up through your prana. As you come past your heart, you align it with the activation intent and you keep the stir with them and you pulse outward a pulse of light with the intention to activate their light body, to keep it simple. Um, I'll put more I'll put more of a instruction in our advanced twin flame group because it's typically the um, twin flame consorts that are divinely instructed to do this from time to time or periodically. So it's not all the time. And one of the ways that you could look at this is that where everything is divinely regulated and in accordance with a divine plan, sometimes what comes in is the instruction for already activated ones to activate more to join in the ascension mission as well and to strengthen the numbers. So getting back, what you do is you typically pulse out a white light, and you'll see it yourself in the corner of your eyes when your pulse is successful, that it's coming out through the eyes. You'll see a flash of white white light or a cloudy white light on in your peripheral vision at least, but you'll see will be your confirmation that yes, an energy was in the least released from you and that they received it. So you can and will be instructed at times, perhaps, to do this. So thanks for that, Nessa. I think I explained it um, full enough right now.
That's great, Rick. There's even more there. Thank you very much. Love, light, and gratitude.
You're welcome, Nessa. And for anyone listening to this, you will hear things like ones have done over, let's say, almost the last decade. You'll hear new things and new instructions that others do not speak about yet at times, although I have spoken about this in the past. And one of the reasons for that, and this is not from a lower ego place, it's because of divinely who and what I am and what I have to put out at times into the collective consciousness so that it gets disseminated. So, also, things I put out, teachers, if you will take this. They'll either see it visibly or they'll pick up on it telepathically and they will translate it if it's telepathically and also written in their own way to begin to instruct others. So we're working on a huge spider web dynamic level with this at passing down the information through the levels of consciousness. So it's to be understood as well that part of my duty as an overseer of the ascension, as a quote ascended master unquote, is to deliver the knowledge and information in a divine, timely fashion when there is enough of the consciousness ready to receive the new instructions. This whole ascension with the individual and as a whole can also be looked at with the analogy of being a video game, advancing the levels, if you will, of the mastery to win the game. So you can also use that analogy, but also with that, as you advance to each level, there is more information and knowledge that is unlocked. And also with this, it is done incrementally and in levels. And one of the reasons for that, the consciousness cannot per se see ahead. It has to be either the consciousness either has to accept without a doubt the full divine guidance it's given, or also through the experiences to apply the knowledge to create the confirmations. And this is how it works with this overall ascension. And you cannot, let's say, rarely, and again, there's always exceptions of the rule, but you do not have as an example, you do not have a 6-year-old child starting uh, the first year of university and not going through all of the other classes, if you will. Yes, there are brilliant ones and more geniuses with the children as we get higher, but there are the levels of learning that are required. And of course, that is the knowledge. And again, we keep it simple. The mastery of the fear. These are your anchors. Get rid of all the fear, and that opens up the consciousness. Any other questions?
Eric, I had a question about the November 15th date for the uh, moving into the heaven on earth scenario, right? So how is that going to happen? I got two perspectives that I'm struggling with to understand. Are we going to just jump timelines and everybody's ascended and we're living in the GPMS reality of like freedom and abundance, or is it going to be done with the mechanics and the infrastructure that's here, and there's going to be things like currency reevaluation, debt elimination, all that with existing infrastructure or systems that are in place? Like, how do we get there? Is it like a divine, we're just all in this new timeline and we've shifted, we've ascended, or is it using existing is it divinely changing existing systems that are in place?
Thanks, Milan. No, right now with the ascension and ascending the world, if you will, it's being done manually and tangibly, and it's being done logically, meaning that a timeline, a reality reset could occur. But what I wish to say is we're in it manually doing it, taking it to fruition. All the world that GPMS creates for everyone, all of the infrastructure is already here upon the planet. Everything is already here that a GPMS world could be very well in place within a month. Um, but getting to what your question is, no, it's being done manually now, and it's being done through a logical ratification, if you will. You can look at gpms.world as a worldwide treaty, And once there is a majority agreement with it by the people worldwide, it is the new reality. It's what the people support. And also, having said that, adding the divine element to it in the ascension, yes, it is the new world. So it's being done manually. However, because of the energetic effects of it, what also is very possible is that we can have resets in reality. Uh, and one of the reasons why is as the fear and the stress quotient worldwide is released from the people by knowing that this is more than a hope, that it's hope being actualized, that it is the real tangible thing, that it's not just a dream or a fantasy, that it's actually real, then they know, the people, that there is in place the new reality. And yes, it makes logical sense. So they don't even need to be awakened to choose this. And by doing this, what it does, because everything is energy, and all timelines in reality exist and functions on the energy. When you eliminate a lot of the negativity and fear out of the reality with what GPMS does, then you can have sudden upliftments of the new reality. However, so far, what we're seeing, it's incrementally and marginally, but there is the exponential quotient that is also applied with the numbers. So it's going forward, and uh, with the um, with the increase, the exponential increase. What I like to say, I think it's in the Tony, brother Tony put it up. I think he looked at it in the last 3.5 or 4 months. The number of consents have increased by about 63%. So this is an exponential um, upward curve, if you will, and it also indicates. I feel we are at any time at the point of virality with this new world, that the ones will choose it very shortly, because also with what we're given on the lower timeline, the rate of that implosion, and the discovery by many, the truth of how things really were on the planet. And of course, without getting into it, the enslavement, the suppression, and the creation of negative fear energy, with all beginning to see more and more of this, it becomes easier for them to logically choose the replacement system. And it's not so hard for even a logical one to conceive, to perceive as well, and even I would say conceive into their consciousness. Because again, typically humanity has been taught that the majority rules. So that's a given concept. And so everything is divinely set up on both the lower timeline and the higher timeline to facilitate this heaven on earth scenario that is the divine plan, which is GPMS. So, having said it is possible we could have a reset of reality, that I don't rule that out. However, what I'm given is that we continue to manually take this forward. Now, there is the degree of, let's say, that ones do not organically or automatically just know what GPMS is and comes in line with it. There is a degree of seeding in integrating the awareness out into the timelines, because it's an actual energetic value And GPMS is a huge divine energetic ascension tool as well. So, meaning that once you put GPMS, let's say in a Facebook group that never heard of it, they might reject it at first, but it's energetically seeded and it does have the priority. So there is the seeding that goes with that as well. But Milan, I'll stop there because I might have skirted around some of your question.
No, you did good. Thanks. Thanks, Rick.
You're welcome. Thank you, brother. Any other questions? What I will say is gpms.world slash the divine plan is sent from Father Prime Creator. It is guaranteed and it's ascertained because it is the ascension. Things had changed from linear year 2016, and what changed is with the ascension itself, meaning that it was divinely prior to linear year 2016, it was divinely thought of that only a certain amount would be ascending now. But what occurred in 2016, for the most part, everything changed and it went to a planetary ascension instead of, let's say, a chosen few. And because of that, it prolonged the ascension. But when you jump outside of the ascension and take an overall view, you will see that it is and was actually part of the divine plan all along. That, let's say, simply the ascension was designed to get the vanguard of it, the first ones, to get them up and running, and then they were prepared enough to ascend also the entire planet, this entire reality. So I need to say, rarely does things change with the divine plan, but on a minuscule level, they do sometimes. And it's so important for each one of you right now to know, to be in the now moment and to not to project a future out ahead of you that involves a lot of the current system and the lower timeline. And one of the reasons why you don't want to do that is because, as a co-creator, if you do that, you are actually securing yourself to these lower timeline energetics, and you are projecting a timeline for you that keeps you restricted. So, to keep it simple, each one should be knowing that we are going into a new world, a new reality, and don't tie yourself and restrict yourself that, oh, you're going to need a job in 6 months, or you need to work at a job for 6 months. If you need to work for a week, you work in the now moment. And if you need to quit in a week's time, you do. You'll have to keep yourself as fully flexible as well with your conscious thought and where you're going. And this also limits unnecessary experiences that you have as well. And you will advance quicker. Your physical vessel will advance quicker as well. So it's important to be meticulous with your thoughts and what you're aligned with. What comes with this is also your individual divine trust at knowing that you always have everything that you need. You might not have everything that you would like, that you would expect, or that you would anticipate. But when you stop in the now and you look at it, you know you have in the now everything that you need. And it's by this knowing as well that builds a stronger trust in you, because the more times that it happens, the more that it becomes embodied and you know it, and it eradicates any of the doubt out of the equation, but also out of your energetic field, which raises you higher and higher and begins to produce more confirmations and more miraculous results. So any aggression, and fear has many different uh, varieties, if you will, variations. Worry is a fear, impatience is a fear, anger itself is a fear, uh, demeaning another, being sarcastic to another is a degree of a fear as well. So it's with each one that as you master and don't do these fear things and do the higher virtuous core value things, if you will, to keep it simple, then the quicker your energy raises, your vibration raises, and it stays consistently higher with this. And as a result, you begin to change your reality. You change who you come into contact with, and it's not as cumbersome uh, as it was, let's say, in a human existence as well. And you become able to navigate more of a miraculous, divine existence in this now by knowing that. And it's important for any that are listening, if you're ready uh, to surrender from the human into your divinity, one thing that does assist, speak out loud always with your prayers. And if you have any questions to Mother or Father God or the universe, always speak, or source, always speak out loud. And it's so important with that. But one affirmation you can do is simple as this: when you feel that you're ready, that you've had enough of the old paradigm and the old reality, then one thing you can say is, I am open and ready for higher divine service. And so it is. And you speak that out loud from your heart to, I suggest, Prime Creator, Mother, and Father. And you do that without expectation. What your higher divine service will be, you just know to follow the signs, because what you're doing is letting go of the reins of logically trying to control your reality, and you are in the complete surrender and following the divine reality that knows the future and all of this. So when you surrender yourself and let divinity show you, it becomes easier to navigate rather than you trying to plan from an old human logic when you are actually a divine one, and a divine one does not navigate or operate from the old human consciousness. We are in the ascension time. None of you are human, and it's important also to know that you are a divine being that exists for all time. And even by knowing and saying that, you are breaking the chains of limitation by thinking you are human. Because if you think you are human, then you cannot embody your divine gifts, because there is no place for them If you diminish yourself by always thinking you're human or saying you're human, you're not. You're divine. You're a divine soul that is part of this ascension. You're open to receive all of the knowledge, all of the powers, all of the tools. You do not demand them. You do not think that you should have them. You're open for them to be given and bestowed upon you and presented to you. You do have the responsibility at always doing your best so that you are open to receive these. And by doing your best is the purity, is the virtuous things. Always doing that, always act out of kindness, except if it's a minion or an actual evil dark one that you know yourself, then the best advice there is just to block yourself and don't engage in any of their tactics or antics because it's meant to disempower you and distract you. Any other questions? Any other questions? If not, I may end this soon. We've been on for about an hour. One thing I can mention about the twin flames, yeah. What I need to say uh, in respect to the twin flames, something has occurred in, let's say, the last month or so that I did not anticipate. But with that, many of the twin flames, the heart chakra was tuned down, and that the twin flame consorts and couples were, let's say, divinely directed to do other things on the lower timeline. And to do things on the other lower timeline with engagements and assisting others, it needs to be realized that if your heart chakra and your root chakra and your other chakras, if they are heightened as well, then you cannot get down to those lower timelines to assist other divine souls that are coming forward. So, having said this, beyond my forward divine knowledge, um, let's say many, including I, um, the energetics was lowered. And it's for divine purposes and reasons that I'm not given the full extent yet of why, other than what I just said. Um, with this, also, there is uh, some twin flames that were able to, let's say, hold the space by creating the great love space and keep populating that into the energetics, while some of us dove down in to bring up and raise some more of ours up. So some of us were tuned down energetically in our chakras, so we're able to do that. Because ones need to realize with your entire light body, when that's amplified and activated, you're not in this reality. And because your frequency becomes so high that you go up into the higher dimensions. You go into the fifth dimension, but you even go higher. But also, once we ascend the planet to the fifth dimensional state, the fifth dimensional to the 48th dimension and beyond are all accessible to us. And the reason why the fifth dimensional state does not contain any fear, it's only the fourth dimension and what was the third dimension that contained the fear element. So once we ascend to the fifth dimension, we have access to all of the higher dimensions. So there is the divine play sometimes that we are not privy to it when it comes. And one of the reasons we're not given this information is because ones would resist it, they would not want it. So you're divinely, if you will, placed and subjugated with the divine acceptance and trust so that you're able to go into it. So it's done on a very high divine level. Your soul knows what's occurring, but your consciousness may not have all of the information. And it's divinely designed that way as well. And for example, with um, my heart chakra, my root, was tuned down. It was not done intentionally by me. It was done divinely for where I needed to go down to look at and engage with what I was doing. But also at the same time, I am upgrading my energetic field and my organic vessel. So simultaneously, there are a couple things that are occurring. So my attachment to a lower timeline, it had a certain energetic ingredient in there, or I would not be able to go down into that lower timeline if I did not have this energetic attractant. So it was down in there also, so that when I reconcile something in that lower timeline, it reverberates, ripples out into the collective as well. And it causes the collective that is connected with that certain thing to come forward, to raise. And this is the same as all of you. Whenever you do any of your inner work, it's not about you, it's about all of those that are connected to you. You could say your soul groups, your soul families. So this is, again, it's about the whole. It's not about the individual. And it's important to know that when you're divinely instructed to do your divine inner work, that you do it, because it's not about you, it's about us all. And for each one that obeys that guidance and takes it forward, we we raise up much quicker and we get the ascension over much quicker. And having said that, by Father given the possibility of November 15th, this linear year, let me say I was pretty ecstatic with that. And what I also say, it's commendable for all, meaning that, all have done and continue to do such a great job at playing their roles with this ascension that for I would need to say the first time ever I was given a tentative possible date, and that's not so far in the future. So, it's important to know that with every higher choice you make, it makes a difference in the reality. You might not see it, but it does. And, your power, your individual power, it's like the analogy where one enlightened one affects a million, because that is so true. So everything you do is not trivial. It has a butterfly effect through reality and affects this ascension. So, any other questions? I see a couple more just joined, so if there's any questions on any part of the ascension, I'll keep this going for about 15 more minutes and then I'll close it down. So, any comments, any additions, any observations that ones would like to share? Just you can speak up now and ask a question if you will.
Can you hear me? Hi.
Yes, go ahead.
I would just like to confirm an observation that I see with my husband, that he's not spiritually inclined, even though he is curious. But the work that I'm doing on myself, I see that it overflows onto him. That's him just even unconsciously, even making comments of, not being judgmental, and even his behavior and things. So my observation is me working on myself. I'm seeing it flow onto him without him consciously actually working and doing the inner work. So just having that confirmation that the overflow does, I see it with my husband.
Absolutely, Laura. And thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, and I love that when it happens. And, it can be so distinct that in the past I've had messages from ones where it was so amazing, where their whole family awoke overnight. Now, mind you, it was only, I think, once or twice. But the thing is that it does occur. Yeah, they change, and it is so beautiful to witness that and to witness it in the moment. And it,
Absolutely.
yeah, 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 and it shows and confirms to each one that believes it that it is so, and to know your power, yes, by doing all of your inner work. Not It's so important for each one as well. Let's say if you're with a partner that you don't think's awake yet, or that you say is not awake yet, if you keep thinking that and projecting that, and and even speaking about that they're not awake, you are energizing that scenario. So by using your co-creator powers, it's best to say they're awake, they see, or what have you. And then what you do, you create that reality. So it's important to know how you could, as a co-creator, be adversely uh, creating your reality. So you wish to know these tools as well, and it's with that trust and keep going forward, as Lauren says. Trust yourself, keep going forward, and you will see that reflected in others. Thank you, Lauren. Any other questions or comments?
Hi, Rick.
Hi, Elaine. Go ahead.
I was outside the other night, just as it was starting to get dark, and I noticed that the sky was like a periwinkle blue, and we had a chemtrail out there, but it was pink, so it was kind of. It's my son yelling at me. Um, Noticed the difference in the sky color.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There are more and more signs in the sky every day. They're abounding, but also many more has their multi-dimensional eyesight is being enhanced as well. So it's allowing you to see even more colors and more variations, more designs in the sky, more distinct signs as well, faces, animals, and geometrics, what have you. Um, I did a live shortly before we did began this open mic tonight, and in that live with my phone, but I also took a couple pictures before it. It would not show the sky what Femke and I was seeing here, the coloration. It was yellow, pink, and orange. but I noticed the phone would not pick up the coloration of the energies at work with this electrical uh, divine application storm that came in. So there are times, yes, if your device is upgraded dimensionally enough, it will pick up uh, on these energetic colors and also other things that you may not be able to see with your eyes. So it does vary uh, per device and per the individual's multi-dimensional capacity at the time. But yeah, it's beautiful. You know, constantly Femke and I are seeing just so many signs. And if we're to document, like others, everything that happened, you wouldn't have time to do anything else. But one thing's for sure is that, yeah, very, um, yeah, I guess I could say exponentially, uh, it is in the sky. They are seeing it, and more are. So thank you for that. Any other questions or comments?
Hi, Rick. Just a quick question. When the twin flames come together, does that, sorry, what's the word now? Does that signify the ships? The last two nights, Tony, have noticed it's like Heathrow Airport. It's just we've seen ships just take off across the side, all kind of it's like a chessboard moving position. It's just a question I wanted to ask you. So when the twin flames are together, does that actualize something in the sky? Love, light, and gratitude.
Oh, thank you, Nessa. And the answer is yeah, definitely. Again, especially with twin flames. And, you know, at this point in the ascension, because of what everyone is accessing in the lines of creation and also the multi-dimensional spectrum, I don't wish to limit anything by saying what you will see or what you will experience, because the truth is that there will also be new things seen and new experiences by not only the twin flames, but the individual ones that are ascending, that they'll be able to also share with others as well. And this is part of the magic going forward. And yes, definitely with those, and I like to say mostly, most all of you have ships, if you will, as well, that is assisting in this ascension. And having said that, you come as you ascend and raise your vibration, you come closer and closer to knowing more of these things and of knowing more about yourself, more about your abilities, and of course, more of the truth. And, you know, this present reality, your Earth's existence, and what you perceive as your reality, it's not what it seems. And as you begin to go more into your experiences, you begin to decipher and decode how it actually works, what is beneficial, what is real, what is illusion, and so forth. But also, you are able to create tools to assist you in your ascension, and you also can create ships, if you will, as part of those tools. But that is just ships. You can create them, they can actually be there, they can actually be a part of you. So, again, we don't wish to limit what is actually occurring and keep open to it all. And of course, I suggest for all to share openly with your experiences. Uh, last night, I'll share with all of you here that part of Femke's allowable divine gifts now is involving being able to see the holographic screen. And I know others of you have seen that before and utilized it as one of your divine tools. But Femke's is also connected to her ship, which is great. Last night we began to play with it um, more as her this one of her abilities came online, and it's very interesting. It's very real, and also it will be very fun. But it's also important to continue to develop these gifts, and by doing that, it integrates it more into your reality and makes it more accessible to you. So, yeah, we are in very enhancing, exciting times. And again, keep the mind, the consciousness fully open to all possibilities, to all miracles, and even things that you never knew existed or could exist. It's important. And of course, to have no fear whatsoever, full trust going into it, because when you have that full trust, you excel into more of your divine experience as well, because again, fear is the anchors in the limitation from your true divine potential and abilities. My battery's getting a little bit low. Is there any final questions?
Hi, Rick. It's Lucia. I just want to say hi to you and Femke. Lots of love. And I just want to share my current experience. You said that we should, that it is the best that we isolate ourselves until 13 or 14. And it happened like I am all by myself in a family house, and that never happened before in a remote village. And it's so beautiful to be in nature all by myself until 13 or 14. I'm here, and I just wanted to share this because it's like connected. And thank you all so much.
Oh yes, thank you. Yes, and that's so beautiful. I was yeah, right in the energy of what you're sharing, and I love that. Yeah, you got a huge bubble, if you will, prepared for the next few days, and that is beautiful. What this brought to mind as well is when I got up today, I overview and I evaluate the energy, but one of the audible things, visible things, or audible things. I'm sitting outside in the morning, and one of the first things I hear is a siren in the village down below. And over the course of a few hours, I've heard four sirens indicating, low density, what's occurring in comparison to this new location at rarely hearing a siren. So it also was an indicator of what was happening, if you will, on the lower timeline as well. But yeah, this is great, and also more the reasoning why keep don't expend your energy and keep in your highest energetic bubble, and choose the good things to have in your consciousness and your reality at this important time. Any other questions? Well, having said that, everyone, my battery, I see on the phone here is the divine signal. It's down to 18%. That'll give me enough time here while I'm sitting outdoors to um, save this recording, and I will put it in the chat, and anyone can access it, and anyone is free to share it or even repeat anything that is said in anything I do, and everything is free to share. And this is what uh, what I do. So if it's of any benefit to anyone, just freely share it. So having said that, love, light, and gratitude to you all. And I'm ending this for tonight. And I feel in the near future in our advanced twin flame group, for those of you here that are part of that, we'll be having an open mic discussion soon there as well. And one more thing I had anticipated, I'd said, I believe, a couple or several months ago, we are going to, at some point on this open mic, have a heart in root activation. And we'll do it on here. And of course, in the beginning, what we state in the beginning of that one, everything is benevolent. Um, and what I will do is I will announce it. I'll give a day or two notice when we do this heart and root activation and enhancement. I will give a notice and also put in there that I would encourage and advise anyone before I have that open mic to have some raw cacao, a cup of it, or what have you. So if anyone's just listening to this whenever we have it, it would be a great idea because it does assist in the activation of the heart. And if your heart chakra is already activated, it heightens it as well. And by heightening the heart activation, it also begins to open more channels in the consciousness too. So it has a great, it's a great tool to that effect. So that is great. I'll stop rambling and I'll stop recording. And love, light, and gratitude, everyone. And yeah, just keep in your bubble, or if you're divinely called out of it, then you follow what you're divinely guided to do in the next few days. Love, light, and gratitude. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. We'll talk to you tomorrow.